Hello everybody, I'm Nick, and yep, you read the title right. It is not clickbait. Microsoft is in fact rewriting some C# services into Rust, mainly services that have to do with Office 365. Now, in this video, I'm going to go through how this came about, why they're doing it, and I'm going to comment on this whole situation and try to explain why it is not as much of a big deal as people are trying to make it appear, because people are trying to sell it as Microsoft is abandoning C#, while that isn't really the case. Let's take a look into what exactly happened. If you like that of content and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe for more training. Check out my courses on dometrain.com. Okay, so this all started by this Reddit post a few days ago saying, came across a job posting on Microsoft's career website which says that they're rewriting C# services in Office 365 with Rust. Which is true. This is a job posting, and by the way, just in case you're in Czech Republic, I'm going to put it in the description. You might want to apply to that. It's for a principal software architect for M365, and as you can see down here, it is mainly talking about proficiency in Rust and C#. I don't know exactly if they changed the job description and responsibilities as part of this being a big thing on Reddit. I think they did, but I can't find the original job posting because it appears like it changed, but it is very clear and it has been confirmed by Microsoft employees that this is in fact happening. It is not speculation. We're going to read the comments in this Reddit post as well, and we're going to validate it. So yeah, they are in fact rewriting things in Rust. Now, what exactly happens? So one of the top comments on this post is they have trillions of requests per day during low volume periods. At those scales, microseconds matter, and then it's like nanoseconds, picoseconds, whatever. Now that is true. I don't think most people understand the level of scale Microsoft or Google or Amazon or these companies have to deal with. We're talking trillions of requests per day. It is insane volumes. In my opinion, it is totally insane that all of these services even work in the first place. Back in the day, we used to struggle to have 100 requests per second, and to deal with so many, it is just incredible from a technical side of things. Now, everything has bottlenecks. You have to understand that the expression, the right tool for the right job, actually means something. And for these companies, for these scales, that is really when it strikes too. When you put Kubernetes into your application that only needs, I don't know, 10 pods to scale out, then maybe you didn't even really need Kubernetes. But when you need thousands, tens of thousands of pods, then being able to write your service in something that not only responds better, but scales better, manages memory better, you can control every little thing better and be productive, because the biggest downside of something like C and C++ is you can't be as productive as you are with C# and write it as fast. Well, then you might want to look into alternatives, and Rust fits this bill perfectly. It's a great language, great design, great concept. And I'm gonna be honest, if I was starting YouTube today, I'll probably be making Rust videos. So most people seem to understand exactly what's going on, judging by the likes on this comment. But then you have Nick Constantino, who's a Microsoft employee. And by the way, he's also an author on Dometrain. So if you want to check out his course on refactoring, I'm gonna put a link in the description. But Nick is a principal software engineering manager in Microsoft, and that's very, very high position. And not only does he point out that Microsoft is using C# a ton, which makes sense. They made the thing and they invest in the thing to make it very, very fast and efficient. But he also works on the domain of the team that is hiring for that position. And basically he explains that, hey, at our scale, where we have extremely performance critical applications, well, we kind of need Rust, because C# is fast, but it's nowhere near where Rust is. In fact, people say that, you know, they point to the tech-empowered benchmarks that show C# be really fast in requests per second. But when you put it into the fortunes test type, where you have more realistic examples of applications that involve databases and things like that, well, it is fast, but like the fastest Rust service, which by the way is chart topping, and then you have Java and C, is 585,000 requests per second, and then you have C# down here with 363. And, you know, that is not quite double the performance, but it is around 60% of the performance, which means that if you use Rust, and theoretically you can implement the same thing with Rust, well, you automatically gain 40% performance or 60, whatever it is, on top of whatever you had, which means you need an amount less services to run, and you can handle your service more efficiently. So, of course, a company that can afford something so expensive as a rewrite of one of their most popular products will do it. What I really like, if you go all the way down here, is a comment from another Microsoft employee, which says that the tons of Microsoft code written in C, C++, and Rust, this is not a new thing. They've been doing it for years. People just noticed now because it's a C# to Rust migration. But as they point out, performance is critical, especially on desktops and devices. And then the most important thing is Microsoft can afford it. They have an internal ballpark estimate, apparently, that it takes 10 times more developers and 10 times more time to get any software written in unmanaged languages versus managed ones. And most companies can't afford that. And most companies don't need that because they don't hit that type of scale. However, Microsoft does. Now, of course, take all this with a pinch of salt. We don't know if this person is actually a Microsoft employee, but to me, this sounds very, very logical. Now, most people read this and they basically say, I found a comment actually that was very, very interesting. Man, this really validates my desire to learn Rust even more. Lol, need to get the dust off that book. And I have to say, Rust is a great language. Like, it's a great language to invest in and learn. But you shouldn't do that just because Microsoft is using it. Like, in the same logic, you should learn Hack back in the day because Facebook is using Hack. No, Hack is fine, but it isn't really the most employable language. Yes, you're probably going to find a job with Rust, but there's definitely less jobs and more niche jobs. C# is a great job, and C# has been aimed to be a language that can do everything. That's Microsoft's purpose. Kind of the downfall of having to design a language that does everything is that you do everything in a fairly okay way, but you can't really be perfect at one single thing. But that's something we agree on when we use C# because it's so easy to write and so fun to write, and it's fairly well designed. Now, does this mean that Microsoft is abandoning C#? Of course not. If the services were written in Python or Java or TypeScript and they needed the scale, well, they would have rewritten the thing. Many companies like Airbnb, for example, or any other mobile app company, in the beginning, they will use something that can be a cross-platform approach to making the mobile app. I think originally they used React Native, and later they turned into the native counterparts of each app. So Swift for iOS and Kotlin, I think, for the mobile app. And that makes sense because they need that level of control and that level of performance, and you would only get it there. Companies that can afford to do something like this will always do it because ultimately running all those services in a more efficient way will save way more money in the long run than paying all those developers the salaries to rewrite all of those services. So don't be afraid. It is fine. We're going to be fine. C# is a great language to use. You don't have to learn Rust. Unless, of course, you really want to. But now I want to know from you, what do you think about all this? And have you actually taken a look at Rust? We can make a Rust introduction video for C# developers. Leave a comment down below and let me know. Well, that's all I have for you for this video. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, keep coding in C#.